I raised my nephew for 12 years, then my sister showed up and told him I kidnapped him. Look, I'm not great with words, and I've rewritten this post like 10 times, but I need to get this out somewhere before I lose my mind. I raised my nephew Matteo for 10 years, and now he looks at me like I'm some kidnapper who stole his childhood. My sister Mel showed up at my door when I was 24 with baby Matteo, who was 3 months old and living in her car with her. She was high as hell and begging me to watch him for just a few weeks while she got clean. I was a dumb kid fresh out of college making $12 an hour at a marketing firm, but what was I supposed to do? Let my nephew live in a car? I took him in, and those few weeks turned into forever. Man, I had no clue what I was doing. I remember calling my mom at 3 a.m. crying because Matteo wouldn't stop screaming, and I'd tried everything. I learned to change diapers on my lunch break in the office bathroom, and survived on coffee and whatever Matteo didn't finish. I missed so many nights out with friends and dates because who wants to date a 24-year-old raising a baby that's not even his? But none of that mattered when he smiled at me or reached for me when he was scared. Mel would pop up every year or two, making all these promises, then disappearing again, chasing her next high. When Matteo turned 5, I knew I had to make it official, so I filed for guardianship. Mel signed the papers in rehab, thanking me for saving her baby, and I thought that was it. Matteo grew up to be a good man, like really good. Honor roll every semester and varsity basketball as a sophomore, and the kid literally helps old ladies with groceries without anyone asking. He called me dad, even though I always reminded him I was Uncle Mike because I wanted him to know his truth. Then 2 months ago, my whole world imploded. Mel showed up at his school, apparently having been clean for 2 years, and married to some rich guy with a house that looks like something from MTV Cribs. She told Matteo I stole him, that she'd been begging for him back for years, but I threatened her and used her addiction against her. She had these fake letters she'd supposedly written and made herself out to be this victim who finally found the strength to fight for her baby. Matteo came home and looked at me like I was a stranger, some criminal who'd been lying to him his whole life. He asked me point blank if I kidnapped him from his mother, and I felt my heart shatter into a million pieces. I tried to explain, say that his mom had done things like this before, but he wouldn't hear it. Said his real mom showed him proof and I was a liar who stole him because I wanted a kid. Do you know what it's like to have the person you love most in the world look at you with disgust? The next 6 weeks before court were torture. Matteo barely spoke to me except to ask when he could see his real family. Mel kept texting him pictures of this bedroom she decorated and all these promises about trips to Disney and Europe. I had to listen to him laughing on the phone with her at night, knowing damn well she would use him then forget about him all over again. I wanted to scream that I was the one who stayed up when he had nightmares and taught him to tie his shoes and cheered myself hoarse at every game, but I just kept my mouth shut and gathered my evidence. The custody hearing was brutal. Matteo had to sit there and hear everything, like how Mel left him in that car for hours to score drugs and how he was hospitalized for dehydration, how she sold his crib for a fix, then had him sleep on the floor. 10 years of receipts and police reports and rehab stints I'd paid for. My lawyer even brought in the social worker who talked about how Matteo thrived with me, but I could see my boy shrinking in his chair with every word. Mel's husband talked about their money and stability, and her lawyer tried to paint me as some creep who stole a baby, but the judge saw through it and threw out their case. But winning didn't fix us. Matteo stayed because he had to, but he calls me Mike now, not Dad. He does his homework and goes to practice, but then locks himself in his room. I see him staring at her Facebook at that stupid house with the pool, and I know he's wondering what if. Last week he asked if I regretted taking him in, and I swear it felt like he reached into my chest and squeezed. I told him my only regret was not protecting him from this pain, and that his mom made him doubt the only parent who never left. He hugged me, but it was hollow, like he was just going through the motions. A few weeks later, she sent him a birthday card with a $1,000 check, even though the court ordered no contact. He didn't cash it, but he didn't throw it away either. I found it in his drawer with printed emails from her saying she'll wait forever for her son to come home. I failed him. I was supposed to protect him, and I couldn't even protect him from this. I was losing my son to a fantasy of a mother who chose doctrines over him for a decade, and I didn't know how to fight that. Then it happened. Matteo packed a bag and ran away to be with his mother. I should have seen it coming. Instead of getting him back, I decided he should stay with her after all. He needed to see for himself the kind of person my sister is. Full story on channel, linked below.